But the best basketball of the weekend, the best player in America, the best shooter in America, Caitlin Clark at Iowa. Just watch. It's not. There's no hyperbole here.
Caitlin Clark, all right? The Indiana Fever star was named Time Magazine's Athlete of the Year earlier this week, and she took time to acknowledge that race played a role in her success this year.
Watch her play. She plays at a high level, highly skilled. She's the best passer in America, and she's the best shooter in America. Promise.
See why I had no problem with her being Time's Athlete of the Year? You see why I said that she should have been on Team USA? You see why I had to go off on the likes of Cheryl Swoops and others who were clearly distant and dismissed?
She has single-handedly changed women's basketball forever. That wasn't me saying that about Caitlin Clark. That was Dave Portnoy dropping truth bombs while everyone else was busy manufacturing rivalries. The NCAA finals ratings just proved him right in the most dramatic way possible. When Clark was playing in 2024, nearly 19 million people tuned in, the most watched women's college game ever. This year, the viewership plummeted to 8.5 million despite having Paige Bueckers, a legitimate superstar, and legendary coach Geno Auriemma. I'm about to show you why the numbers crash so hard and why we need to stop with the forced rivalries that are actually hurting the sport we love. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. You know what's wild? Everyone's busy arguing about who's better while completely missing what the numbers are screaming at us. It's like we're all at this huge party where two amazing DJs are playing, but nobody's looking at how many people showed up for each set.
You get a chance to watch her. If you haven't watched her, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're a college basketball fan. And, there's a lot of players who are really good in women's basketball, like talented.
There was resentment towards her, and here's why I said it was stupid. Because when she came into the WNBA, for 22 plus years, they had been flying commercials.
Step back jumpers, shooting deep threes. It's really impressive. And keep this in mind. She averages 27 a game. She also averages over 8 assists.
That's it. Caitlin Clark hasn't spoken against anybody. She hasn't assisted in denying anybody else the privileges they deserve. If anything, she's tried to provide assistance.
Let's break down what actually happened with the viewership. In 2024, we saw something historic. 18.9 million people tuned in to watch Caitlin Clark in the championship game. That's not just a big number. That's Super Bowl territory for women's sports. We're talking about a cultural moment that transcended basketball. But this year, the numbers crashed hard. The 2025 final between UConn and South Carolina only pulled in 8.5 million viewers. That's over 10 million people who just disappeared. Think about that for a second. 10 million human beings collectively decided, nah, I'm good when Clark wasn't in the game. That's more than the entire population of New York City just vanishing from the audience. The crazy part is that UConn had everything going for them. Paige Bueckers is an absolute star. The girl can shoot, pass, and defend with the best of them. Geno Auriemma is a legendary coach with 11 national championships. And they were playing against the dominant South Carolina team that everyone wanted to see challenged. On paper, this should have been a ratings bonanza. Some people are trying to spin this like it's still a win because 8.5 million is the third highest viewership ever for women's college basketball. But that's missing the point completely. It's like saying you're happy about keeping one scoop of ice cream after someone takes away 3. Sure, one scoop is better than none, but where did the other 3 go? The real story is in who was watching. Clark didn't just bring women's basketball fans. She brought NBA fans, casual viewers, and people who never watched women's sports before. She attracted viewers who normally wouldn't give women's basketball a second glance. That's the special sauce that made those numbers explode.
So she leads the nation in scoring and she leads the nation in assists. And you talk about somebody who hits the open man, the open person. She is wonderful. And men's basketball is 40 minutes.
A rising tide lifts all boats. She's trying to be the rising tide that lifts the boats. And there were sisters resentful of her. Be resentful of the system. Be resentful of the folks.
You give her, another quarter. She's averaging 30 a game at least. She had, a triple-double last night. Put up, 41? And what are the, let's see, the numbers were 41.
Primarily the white folks who basically disenfranchised y'all all of these years before she came along, who denied you the acclaim and the allure and the profits you richly deserved.
The team dynamics tell an important part of this story too. While both players are incredible talents, their situations couldn't be more different. Clark was the only 5-star recruit at Iowa. She carried that team on her back, creating plays, hitting impossible shots, and shouldering an enormous burden every single game. Meanwhile, Bueckers plays with multiple 5-stars at UConn, including talents like Sarah Strong and AZ Fudd. That's a completely different basketball experience. When you're surrounded by elite talent, the pressure gets distributed. The responsibility gets shared. But Clark, she was Iowa's offense, their heart, their everything. That's what made her story so compelling to those 10 million extra viewers who showed up. People love watching someone take on impossible odds and somehow make magic happen. What the ratings reveal is that Caitlin Clark single-handedly attracted over 10 million viewers who wouldn't normally watch women's basketball. That's the needle-moving power nobody else has matched. Not Paige, not even the legendary UConn program, not the dominant South Carolina dynasty, just Clark. After UConn's championship, social media blew up with this manufactured rivalry between Clark and Bueckers. Instead of just celebrating Paige's incredible achievement, commentators and fans turned it into this weird competition about who deserves more attention. The whole thing felt forced, especially considering Clark and Bueckers themselves have publicly shown nothing but respect for each other's game.
She's fun to watch. She's a great player. She is different because she shoots as... I'm waiting for this. Remember when the criticism came with Steph Curry? Oh, he's ruining basketball. Everybody thinks they can shoot a three.
But you don't take that out on Caitlin Clark. Not her. She's the one that assists you. When black folks was marching during the civil rights era.
She's going to look at Caitlin Clark, and she's going to want to shoot. I'm waiting for the, everybody thinks they can shoot a three. And, unless we're already there with that because of Steph Curry.
They weren't dismissive, nor did they insist in denigrating the white people who marched with them. They saved the venom for those who wouldn't.
This artificial rivalry is doing more harm than good. It's distracting from what should be the bigger story, how these incredible athletes are collectively raising the profile of women's basketball. Why are we forcing these women into some kind of zero-sum game where only one can be great? The numbers already tell us what we need to know about their relative impact on viewership. The most frustrating part is that this whole debate misses what actually matters. Women's basketball as a whole saw unprecedented visibility thanks to Clark's phenomenon. That rising tide lifted all boats, including the platform Bueckers now enjoys. Instead of acknowledging that, we're stuck in this cycle of pitting them against each other. Let's be real here. What's actually happening between Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers tells a completely different story than what the internet wants you to believe. These two stars genuinely respect each other. Clark herself praised Bueckers, saying nothing ever seems to faze her, and acknowledging her incredible scoring ability. Women's basketball isn't growing because of one player. It's blossoming through stars like Juju Watkins, Hannah Hidalgo, and Lauren Betts too. The real victory isn't in manufactured rivalries, it's in recognizing we're witnessing a golden generation changing the game forever. So instead of picking sides, let's just appreciate how lucky we are to watch these phenomenal athletes elevate women's basketball together.